Okay.
May I?
Yeah.
First one. It's an interesting point, the link between arsenic and cancer, directly or indirectly. Do you know a country where the simulation has been done and at the same level or with the same results?
Well, cancer, arsenic as a chemical compound is a carcinogen type 1 by the IARC because it has been linked previously with other types of cancer like lung, prostate, and so forth. What is new in this study is that it will be the first time that it's associated with breast cancer, but the mechanism has been proposed somewhat in a somewhat clear manner. It has to do with methylation and epigenetics, the methylation of DNA. We can talk about it later. But what is interesting to see is that in Argentina and Uruguay and South America, where they have arsenic in water also, they have very high rates of breast cancer, and Chile also. And there is no information in that regard from that countries. Probably when we publish this, they will have to take a look of that association also there. But remember that cancer is a very complex disease and it's not only determined by only one factor like arsenic. So my thinking is that the cancer in one country might be determined by a pool of risk factors that are not necessarily the same as those in other countries. So while in Argentina and Uruguay, arsenic may be taking also some part of in the biology of this cancer, in other countries may not. You see, so it's very interesting.
We have the chance this morning to have 3 women for 1 man. The next speaker is no other question. Sorry. Oh, excellent.
Do you have an idea what's the size of the population that is resistant to folate treatment?
Thank you for the question, because I didn't mention that. Yes, unfortunately for us, it's the TT genotype. It's the highest in the world, and it's 60%. It's very, very high. The allele P as allele, so it's very high, and yeah, and this one is a high penetrant one. So for us, this is an issue. I don't know in Latin America if the prevalence of, probably here you have that figure, the statistic. I don't know, but it's a major one and it's a key one to look at in relation to not only this cancer but also other types of cancer, because it has to do with the cycle of methylation, the one carbon DNA. So it has to do with cardiovascular diseases, with cancer, neuromuscular defects, and so forth. So it's a key one to look at it. There is a question.
Are you recommending in the guidelines screening for breast cancer twice a year?
No.
So that's every other year?
Yeah, every other year.
Oh, okay, so you said biannual, so I was, okay,
yeah.
That makes sense. And then you said at risk. What does it mean at risk? Is there like are you using the Gale model? Or?
No, not the Gale, but that's a good question, because the risk factors were defined by looking at the literature and some local studies. So the ones that you already know, with early menarche, late menopause, and so forth, besides carbohydrate intake, that is not actually recognized, not even in the report that we saw yesterday as convincing evidence, but in our law is considered now.
And that divide you showed between geographic distribution of breast cancer, north and south, would you attribute that I mean, obviously you said it's more urbanized and higher income. Could that be attributed to screening? I mean, to a higher SES population being screened more often than a low SES being screened less often?
I would say no, because the coverage in the whole country is less than 10%. So screening is almost null in our country.
I know that Mexico is fortifying the tortillas with folate.
Yeah.
Have you been able to verify any effect of folate fortification in the tortillas on the risk factors?
No, they are just starting with that, with the you know what tortillas are, maize, our bread with maize. But no, they are just starting, and the quantity of folate that they are putting in tortillas won't pass the daily recommended allowance that we are needing. The issue is that a huge bunch of the population, 60%, will have those tortillas and won't receive the benefits from folate because of the deficiency in this allele, and that is not taken into account in that policy.
Okay, thank you for a very well presented talk. I just had a question on capsaicin. You said that the diet in Mexico was high in chili and it was something that people normally would have almost every day. But capsaicin, I thought actually had medicinal benefits as well. So I was surprised to hear that it has carcinogenic potential. Could you explain a bit more?
Yes, that's a dual molecule because capsaicin is actually used for pharmaceutical purposes against herpes zoster. Issue with capsaicin is probably the hormesis. You know what hormesis means? That at some dose, the molecule produces something and at other dose produces something else. So what we see in Mexico is the topic of capsaicin and gastric cancer began in 1990 in our research group, and people don't want to listen anything against cancer. Against chili pepper in Mexico. So even showing that there is an increasing risk with gastric cancer, and if you eat the equivalent in capsaicin to more than 20 jalapeno peppers per day, where the risk begins, and believe me that 20% of the population in Mexico has this level of intake. And if you try to avoid that level of consumption, you may decrease the risk. People don't want to listen about that. So it's a very difficult, hot, cultural, dietary topic to talk in our culture. And we have no doubt that at that dose, there is something in relation to gastric cancer. But how can we do some change in Mexico if chili pepper is part of our culture? Talking about prevention, and